Hi, everybody. Are we live? So we want to welcome you to this week's ShootProof webinar with Johl Dunn, and he's going to help us get our minds right around our business this week. So say hi, Johl.
How you going? Hope everyone's doing well on this Loveless Thursday for you guys. It's Friday, 4 in the morning here.
It is 4 in the morning in Australia, so thank you, Johl, for joining us. You look bright and cheery. I would not be that way. All right, so before we get started, I want to cover a couple of boring housekeeping things. So please close any extra browser tabs or streaming services. The audio and visual can kind of tend to get wonky if a bunch of things are going on at the same time. And just to note, if you have to drop early, you will get a recording of this in your email after the webinar is over. So don't worry about that. You can leave at any time and you'll get the full recording. So Johl is actually going to be giving away 2 of his awesome journals. My daughter approves fully of his journals. They're wonderful. So if you stay tuned through the end of the webinar, we're going to give away 2 of those. And also make sure to click the link in the handouts. You can actually enter a little survey for Johl at the end and win a one-on-one call with him, which is really great. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A tab next to the chat tab. It keeps the questions more organized. We don't have to run through the chat to find all the questions. So use the Q&A tab. And then at the end of the webinar, we will kind of answer those together. I'll read them out to you. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Johl. Thanks so much, and I'll see you at the end.
Thank you, Kelly. Really looking forward to diving in with everyone today. And what we're going to be going through is from overwhelm to in control. So I'm hearing a lot with photographers about feeling time poor, overwhelmed, a lot happening. So we're going to really work on that today. Going to help you build some simple, powerful daily habits to help create momentum in your business. That work-life balance is really important. We're going to look at setting clear, defined goals and eliminate some mindset blocks that really stop us, and touch on some marketing and other stuff as well. But really, this webinar is all about you as the business owner. So we're really going to nail down onto that, and I'm going to go through a bit of a framework with you, but I would love everyone to follow along on Instagram at Johl Dunn, JOHLDUNN. You have to, prerequisite to win one of these at the end, you have to follow me on Facebook. Just a little thing. We do some great content on there to keep everyone inspired. All right, so what I want you to start with, we're going to be doing a little quiz, and we're going to come back to that quiz. It's really simple, little bit of math we're going to do. But I want you to look at how we start our day is really important. We're going to dive into that, and what energy we have to start the day with has a big impact on our productivity, our happiness, and our outlook on life. So the more energy we have to start each day, the more we can achieve and more fulfilled we'll be. So I'm going to want you to think of yourself like an iPhone, and we want a full battery, right? So the main areas we get energy, and if you've heard me talk about this, you might have heard this before, but great, let's do it again. It's really important. We get it from sleep, exercise, nutrition, hydration. They all give us energy, and stress takes it away. So we're going to give ourselves a little score here, and we're going to come back to it in a sec. So I want you to give yourself a score out of 20 for your sleep. Now, let's say over the last 2 or 3 weeks, like a normal week, how much sleep are you getting? Are you waking up feeling refreshed? If you are, you get a higher score, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Or if you're terrible at sleep, maybe you've got a baby or you're not sleeping well. If you're a new mum, this might be a lower score for you. You're a lower. So give yourself a score out of 20 for that. And we're going to talk about how to shift some of these results as well. Also, then we're going to go to exercise. So do you move your body? It doesn't mean you're going to the gym, working out every day. It could be walking the dog. It could be Pilates, yoga. It doesn't really matter. What would you give yourself on an average week out of 20 for exercise? 20 being the highest and really good. 1 obviously being the lowest. And then we've got nutrition. This is not diet. It is how you feel your body on a day-to-day and what's right for your body. Like, are you eating more whole foods and a balanced diet, or are you snacking too much or eating too much sugar or takeaway? Be honest here. This score is only for you, so it doesn't really matter. But give yourself a score out of 20 for that as well. Hydration is 2 liters of water, which I think is 2.5 gallons. No, 1.5 gallons. Anyway, drinking 8 cups of water a day is great. So give yourself a score. If you're drinking water, one little hack is to have a water bottle next to you all the time. If you drink a lot of water, 20, right down to 1. And then finally, stress. So stress depletes our energy, and it's the opposite here. If you got no stress or little stress in your life, you're giving yourself a high score. If you feel you're stressed all the time, then you'll get a low score. And as we go, now you've got your 5 areas. I want you to add them up, and you'll get a score out of 100 for that. And we're going to come back to it. So just write it down somewhere because it's going to be relevant in a sec. So hopefully everyone got that. Right. What I want to focus on to start with, this is the focus photographer hierarchy I go through with my clients. And it's the importance of different aspects of the business and what I teach and train my clients on. So we'll start with the foundation. That's the core, and everything's built on that. And everything's built on it because it's you. It's your habits, the work-life balance you got, your goals, which dictate your results and the direction you're going in. That's the foundation. Then we move to self, which is what's getting in the way, what's stopping us, what blocks do we have, what shifts do we need to have, and what perspective do we need to have in the business to get the results we desire. In other words, like what's holding you back. These 2 areas here is what most people skip to go to the next 2. After that, we need a really powerful sales process, client experience, and create real value for our product and services, depending, if you're wedding, portrait, commercial, whatever you're doing. And finally, which is what most people actually think is first, is the marketing. It's last for a reason, because without the other 3 core elements, marketing is useless. We need the right strategy, we need the right forward planning, and most importantly, the action and consistency required to put it all together. So today we're really going to be nailing down these things. As you can see here, it's 70% of the equation. Now that might surprise some of you, but when I ask my clients or potential clients what they need help around, 90% of people say marketing or more leads or something around that line, but it's never that easy. And it's always the first 2 things that are stopping you from achieving the marketing or sales results you want in business. Now, by working on these 2 things at the bottom, we inadvertently work on marketing, sales, and we get dramatically different results. And that's where I differ a lot from other coaches, I think, because I really dive into these. So the importance of what we're going to break down today is habits. We're going to get the importance of habits. We're going to go through energy, which we sort of touched on. Balance. We're going to have to get that work-life balance. We're going to have a look at goals and if you have any and how you're doing your goals. Then we're going to go through blocks that can happen, shifts that need to get put in place, and perspective around business and life. Then we're going to go give away a couple of journals at the end, and there'll be a link for some coaching call, a couple of one-on-one coaching calls you can enter and go through all this with me in person. All right, let's start with the foundation. I love talking about habits because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Now, habits this is true in business and personally, and we need a system for ourselves because we're the ones that are running the business. So everything we do is habit, right? The way we dress, what we eat, the way you drive to work, even how you wake up. Most people start their day exactly the same way, and it usually starts with the phone. Now, I was having a chat with Kelly about this earlier, how addictive they are, how most people have a love-hate relationship with it. Some days you want to chuck it in the bin. Other days you can't get rid of it. So we're going to go through that and how to start your day, which is really important. But you are the business. Your habits, your energy, and your mindset dictate your business and life success, full stop. I'm going to teach you some powerful habits to start your day. And if nothing else, just do that. It's easy to fob this stuff off because a lot of this stuff is quite simple. And you might hear yourself say, yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's easy, but you're not doing it potentially. That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing something. Wisdom's integrating it and doing it day to day. So you're the main character of your story. I've got this jumpers made for my clients. That's on the back. You're the main character of your story. You decide how it is written. Every habit you implement is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So if you go to the gym or you walk every day, you're health conscious. If you meditate and journal, you're mindful. So it's about shifting your identity first. Like, I am a meditator. I am healthy. Then the habits are easy to form and stick with because you have an identity around them. Same in business, right? So we're going to dive into this. All right, let's go into our score. If you're so brave, I would love people to write their score in the chat. And then we're going to dive into what it means and how we can shift to what we want to get. So write it in if you're brave enough. I think someone did before. I have to do some quick maths on Beth's, but let's say that's 30, 50, 68. All right, 48, cool. And there's no right or wrong here, guys. 48, 77, 60, 75, 70, cool. Awesome. If you don't want to put it in there, you don't have to. But let's work out what this means. So ideally, we want to get a score. The goal here is 80 and above, right? Very rarely when I do this, many people 80 and above, but that's the aim. I want to show you why. Okay, this is an example of someone maybe 30 out of 100. So when you think of yourself like an iPhone, you wouldn't leave the house with your iPhone or Android, if you're Android, on 30%, right? Because it's going to run out, right? This might be, you may stay up a little bit late or do editing into the night, and then you feel tired in the morning, you're not exercising and all, very active, you're eating not as good as you want, and you're not really drinking any water, and your stress levels are high. This might give you a lower score. But what we want to get up to is something like this. This person is 80 and above, which is what we want to get to, and I'll talk to you about how to get there, has 2 to 3 times the energy available to them to start every day than someone on 30%. They're going to be more productive, more focused, happier, more direct, and getting better results by far. So when we day stack this over a year, you're constantly showing up with an 80, you're going to be 10 times ahead, 100 times ahead of the person who's really struggling with their energy. And it's such a simple thing, right? Now, some things are out of our control. If you're a new mum or a new dad, or you have kids, you know that sleep is something that is out of your control sometimes. That is fine. There's other things that are. So what we want to look at is pick your 1 or 2 lowest scores and circle those and go, how can I shift that slightly up? And we're going to talk about a few ways to do that in a sec. But that's the start. You go, all right, I'm not drinking enough water. I'm going to put a water bottle next to me and I'm going to start drinking 2 liters a day. Or I'm going to start walking the dog every morning, those sorts of things. What you can control. Obviously, when I had little kids, they're older now, they sleep, they're teenagers, they sleep a lot. So I don't have to worry about sleep anymore in that regard. But have a look at that and just write down a couple of things you're going to shift in that regard. May not sound like it has anything to do with business, but it has everything to do with business because you are the business. Same as what we're about to go through next. All right. Understanding that habit is all about discipline and delayed gratification. All results in life come down to this. To form or shift a habit, it requires discipline to start with and delayed gratification. And what I mean by that is you won't see results straight away. And knowing that makes it easy to stick with something until you do get results. So, for example, you want to get fit or you want to lose weight, you might go to the gym every day for a week and not really see anything. But if you do that for 6 months, you're going to see dramatic shifts, right? You need the discipline to stick with it and understanding that the results will come. Now, the problem is we live in a world at the moment that everyone wants everything now. It's really instant, right? And that's making it hard to have these habits and stick with them. And we're going to give you a couple of really simple ones to start with. This is the ultimate business and life hack. Get out of instant gratification and stick with something for long enough, and it compounds over time. Like anyone who's in finances, understands this with money. Money compounds over time dramatically when you're saving and investing. Same with yourself. So I love this little graph. This says it all to me around success. So when we look at it, you can make easy decisions on the front end or hard decisions on the front end. So for example, waking up early and meditating or working out is hard. Getting out of bed and hard, but it's easy later because you have more energy and you have more success and more, because of the energy you have. Staying up late, watching Netflix, sleeping in is easy. Hard later because you don't have the motivation. Same with marketing, for example. It's easy to sit there and say, I don't have time for marketing. I'm just going to retouch and edit. And that's an easy decision. Hard later because you don't have any leads. Or you put in the work, get out of your comfort zone, approach businesses, put marketing out there, hard on the front end, and then easy on the back end. So look at where are you taking the easy option on the front end and what's it costing you? And how can you shift this? So I'm going to start, and if you've heard me talk before, I bang on about this. I've got a whole journal around it, which I'm going to give away, obviously. They are available on my website if you do want one, but I'm going to go through a really simple process for you, how you start your day. Okay. When you first wake up, this is just set your alarm for 15, 20 minutes earlier for a start. Now, most people wake up and the first thing they grab is their phone. Right. Most people grab their phone before they grab their partner. What we want to start with is no phone for the first hour. And I'll talk to you about why, because when we grab this, and I've looked in a lot of science behind this, is we're getting a dopamine hit straight away in the morning. You open it up, you go on your Facebook, Instagram, emails, your dopamine spike. Your body's just waking up and you're spiking your dopamine through the roof. And then when you stop, it'll dramatically drop, right? And we do this over and over through the day, but the first hour is the most critical part. Yeah, an hour is not a lot of time. So you get up, do your morning ritual, which I'll talk about. And the other thing is it's going to freak people out. And I did this at a seminar at SPAC in Vegas. And I said this and people wanted to shoot me. No coffee the first hour as well. Same sort of thing. We want the coffee after an hour when our body's woken up. Now, you delay those two things for an hour, it's going to really shift your energy levels, right? So that's number one. Then we're going to go and do this daily ritual, which I'm going to talk you through. Now, this is in the journal, but really simply, it starts with a meditation. If you haven't meditated before, there's an app called One Giant Mind. Number one, Giant Mind. It's a free app. It's easy to start with that. So, if some of you don't believe in meditation, there's so much science behind it at the moment. It's hard to ignore. It's not woo-woo anymore. It's not just for hippies. The science behind it is it reduces the activity in the brain's stress response, which is called the amygdala, and increases activity in the areas responsible for focus and emotional regulation and self-awareness, which is the prefrontal cortex. In other words, it's making us more self-aware and more present moment attentive, so we can see and hear things and pick up on things a lot quicker instead of being distracted by our mind in the future or the past. So 5 to 10 minutes is good. The ideal is 20 minutes. And then we're going to go into a simple task, which is in the journal, but I'm going to show you a simplified version here. This is what the journal looks like. And we're just going to go through these three things here. So what I call the power 3x3. Really simple. 3 things you're grateful for. Like I said, you might say, I know this, but are you doing it? Gratitude is the simplest and most powerful thing you can do in the morning. It's the ultimate form of receivership, which means when you're grateful and you're in a grateful mood and you're writing down what you're grateful for, you're more likely to attract more of the same. So it's really simple. What are 3 things I'm grateful for? Don't phone it in, but really feel it. The feeling's important here. So instead of my kids, the hug my son gave me this morning, instead of my house, the way the light's streaming in through the window, those sorts of things. Really simple. Then you just go to what would make today great. This is so powerful because our minds are wired for negativity. They're wired to go straight to the negative. What we're doing here is looking for what we want to happen. So instead of going, I hope it doesn't rain today, I've got a photo shoot outside, I hope that client doesn't cancel, that's all negative. We want to go, all right, I hope my client comes in today and it's a $3,000 sale. I hope I get 2 inquiries out of the blue. Whatever it might be, what do you actually want to happen? And I get emails, not weekly, but let's say at least a couple of months with people, clients, sending me photos of this and going, oh my God, I wrote this down and it actually happened. Like crazy stories, not a coincidence. And the last one is, what are my 3 intentions for the day? Which means, what do I need to get done? Not the washing, not your admin, not your retouching. What are 1, 2, or 3 things, depending how busy you are that day, that will move the needle forward in my business? Marketing, sales, business, strategy, those sorts of things. And then time block them in. So I'm going to show you an example. Here's an example of what the whole day looks like. This top bit here is the morning ritual. Then we've got the nighttime ritual here. What you'll notice with this, when we do it properly, is we're tracking exercise, nutrition, hydration, sleep. We're tracking these things constantly, and our energy levels up here and our stress levels here. So what we track, we do. When we do this consistently, and there's a few other things I won't go into all the details here, that we do as, connection and fun and different things. But when we do this consistently, it shifts how we show up. It shifts our energy and our frequency. Now, habits help us consistently show up with the energy and frequency we need to get the results we desire. So energy is how we feel. That's our battery level, how much output we have at a high level with those 5 areas we talked about. Frequency is, we're all packets of energy. Now, this is science as well. It's not fluff. We're constantly emitting a frequency. Your frequency comes from your mindset, which we're going to dive into a little more, and it has a big impact on our results. Like examples, some people you can hang out with, talk to, or have a conversation with, and you might leave that conversation feeling totally drained. That's a frequency. Or some people you talk to them, you feel uplifted, you feel on fire, you feel excited. They're the people you want to be around, right? That's a frequency. It's not what they're saying, it's their energy, it's their frequency. We want to tap into that and get into that, because that is so powerful when you're working with, as a photographer, when you're working with people to make them feel comfortable in the sales department, all those things. So it's really good. All right. This is a little, if you want this PDF, send me an DM on Insta and I'll send it to you. This is just how to track what we want to do here. So I want everyone in the chat that is going to do this, just write, yep, I'm in, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the morning ritual for 30 days. Just that 3x3 and the meditation that I talked about. Try it for 30 days in a row. It'll change your life. That's a big statement, I know, but most people can't do it for 30 days. So I came up with this little tracker, because what we track, we do. If you want it, DM me on Instagram and I'll send you the PDF, print it out, put it on your wall and tick it off as you go. And there's some questions to go in it. So if you want it, I can definitely give it to you. Now, this is about radical responsibility without the guilt. And what I mean by that is, if you miss a day, let go of the guilt and keep going, right? A lot of us get there 4 or 5 days in, I stuffed up, I missed a day, and throw the baby out the bathwater. No, it's not about being perfect. It's just sticking to it. And I've done this for multiple things. Like I do about 5 or 6 of these a year. Meditate twice a day, give up sugar for a month, give up alcohol for a month. I did a vegetarian diet for a month. Like I try different things and see, if I like them or not, or if it's going to make a difference. I did cold plunge for a month 2.5 years ago and I'm still doing it. Like some things stick, some things don't. But the morning ritual, hopefully it sticks. All right, let's talk about balance. So important in life. And as a small business owner, a lot of us don't have it. I didn't have it for years. But do you run the day or does the day run you? Now, obviously, how we start our day is really important. It gets us back in control and we can dictate the terms. But then we want to look at other things in our day. Now, this is in the journal as well, but you can do this yourself. So our brains crave structure. Like children, we need structure. The more structure the less habit fatigue we have, the more attention we have at our disposal and more productive. What I mean by habit fatigue is if you can put in what I call non-negotiables, things that happen every week at the same time, you have to make less decisions. So you're not as busy in your mind. For example, if you want to work out 3 days a week, you put it in your journal or in your diary, and you do it at the same time every week. For me, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym. Really simple. I don't have to think about it. It just happens. Before I did this, I would want to go to the gym 3 days a week. I'd get to a Thursday and go, shit, I haven't gone to the gym. So I need to pretty much go every day from here on in and make that decision. When am I going to go? What's it look like? Oh, I'm busy here, right? Take that out of it. So some things you want to put in here are like exercise, things with your kids or your partner. Work hours is really important. So most people don't have work hours in their own business. When you start doing this, I start at 8 and finish at 4, and you can see it here on the example. You're way more productive. You get way more done in less time because you have a limit to it. It's like, as photographers, a lot of photographers got ADHD or tendencies and leave everything to the last minute. But when you do it this way, you give yourself a certain amount of time, it's way better. You're going to get way more done. But you want to also put in things like marketing. You need to be marketing every week. You need to be at least 2 hours of your time is dedicated to marketing. Block it in the same time every week. So, for me, it's a Friday. All right, I know I've got this time every week to do marketing. When you do that, you're consistently looking at it, which means you're going to consistently have a flow of leads coming in when you do it properly. But these are some things to put in place, like the morning ritual, different things you can put in to actually give you some structure. And then we want some boundaries. Like, do you have any boundaries? If you don't have boundaries, you're not valuing your time, so no one else will. And you need to learn to say no, right? And it's hard for a lot of people. We're people pleasers as photographers a lot of the time. But everything you're saying yes to, you're saying no to something else. And usually it's yourself and your time. This includes family and friends as much as clients. Really important. If a client asks for a time you don't usually shoot or do appointments and you say yes, it's a lack mentality, which means you're just trying to grab everything that comes in. And it's a bit of desperation. But when you put clear boundaries in place, sorry, we don't shoot on a Sunday, that says something. And it's really important that you hold that true and you dictate the hours in your business and what you say yes to. All right, let's look at the direction we're going in. So why did I go to habits first and goals second? Because, like I said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. We can have the best goals of I want 100 shoots, I want to make $300,000. But if your systems aren't in place in your sales and in your personal systems, you're never going to get there, right? So who sets goals? In the chat, if you set goals, and if you do you write them down? And if you write them down, do you put the steps to achieve them and do you track your progress? Very few people can say yes to all those things. But if you do all those things powerfully, you give yourself about a 90% more chance of actually achieving it. A lot of people have a goal of making more money, getting more bookings. They're not goals, they're wishes, right? But if you say, I want 100 bookings by this date, that's a goal. But if it's in your head, it's not a goal, you need to write it down. You need to make it real. All right. A lot of clients I work with when they come in, they're a bit like a ship in the ocean where they go, I'm sort of going that way, but they don't have any clear map and they're sort of going all over the place. When we get a clear goal and direction, you get there way faster. And it's really powerful when you actually do it. So we're going to talk to you a quick, simple process I call a stretch goal and how I do it with my clients and why we do it this way, because we're very visual people as well. So this is why people don't do their goals or achieve their goals. They don't have a defined goal. They don't have the process in place. They don't track their progress and don't have the right mindset and habits, which is key. We just went through a bit of that. And lastly, but probably most importantly, they don't take the action. That's what stops most people. So it's important how we frame our goal. And I'm going to show you an example here. So let's call it the 31st of December, 2026. and I've easily and effortlessly achieved a turnover of $500,000. I'm proud and excited I've achieved this or something better. Notice how this is written in the present tense for a start. Why? Because it's already happened. We want to feel like in our body and subconsciously we've already achieved it. So we're going to say it in the present tense. It's specific and it's time bound. So we know if we've achieved it or not. So if we said, I want to earn more money, that's not specific and it's not time bound, right? And it's not in the present tense. So those three things are important. And we want to write this at the top of a big A2 sheet of paper. And then we're going to go through the steps to achieve it. So this is what it looks like. This is an example of one from a client a while ago. Big sheet of paper. Here's the goal, line down the middle, and then we go through all the steps. And the reason we do this is we want to, when we do a step, move it across. A lot of time when I'm working with clients with goals, we might take 20 steps, but you're not really seeing the financial results yet, because it might be, all right, we need a new price list, new products, a consultation process, blah, blah, blah. We do all that, then we market, then we get results, and it goes up. So you're seeing results as you're moving across, knowing you're on the right track. Really simple way to do goals. And visually, I've got mine up here. I still do it. It's really good visually because we are visual people. And then it's just one bite at a time, one step at a time. Most people give up before we start because it's overwhelming. But when you break it down like this, it really simplifies it. And we overestimate what we can do in a day, but we dramatically underestimate what we can do in a longer period of time, like a year. And the last point is action. Any good plan is useless without action. So I want you to tell yourself or give yourself the commitment that you're going to do something like this. And then what's the first few actions you want to do? Now, it's going to take getting out of your comfort zone. We're going to go through why people don't take action now. This is the self, and why we block ourselves and why it's frustrating, which starts with blocks. All right, we've got the foundation set now. Now we want to look deeper into what trips most people up. And it's always themselves. It's ourselves and our mindset. It's simple. In other words, you and what's going on up here that's stopping us from achieving what we want by who we are being, our blocks and our beliefs. And then that stops us taking the action we know we need to take to get where we want to go. So let's start here. The invisible enemy. Sounds very mysterious, I know, but this is what I call that voice in your head, or that inner critic, some people call it. You know, we're so mean to ourselves. You know, you're useless, you're pathetic, you're a failure, you're too old, you're not good enough, the other photographers are better, all that sort of stuff. But if you said that to someone walking down the street, you'd get punched in the face, right? We're so mean to ourselves. So I want you to treat yourself like you'd treat your child. You wouldn't say any of that stuff to a kid, so don't say it to yourself. But the thing is, that voice is automatic, right? We need to bring awareness to it so we can catch it, shift it. Now, stick with me here. This is a bit higher level, I guess, in some regards. What that voice does, when things get slightly harder, slightly uncomfortable, it tells us all the reasons we can't do what we want to do or achieve what we want to achieve. So we want to do a bit of a disassociating exercise here. Now, this is obviously a very fancy Canva pictograph I made. So, you know, I'm not a graphic designer. Just bear with me here. What we want to understand is that voice, this is our brain, that voice that tells you all the reasons you can't do anything or why it sucks or why you suck, isn't us. It's automatic. It's there to keep us safe. It's an evolutionary thing in our brain, right? It's allowed us when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, when things aren't going right, or when we're moving out of our comfort zone, right? You want to be the witness and watch the voice. So you can't be the voice. You're the one that hears it. So when you don't get caught in it and you step back and listen to it, you're disassociated from it. You can see it for what it is. This is why meditation is so powerful, because it teaches us to, you know, if we go into thought, let the thought go, come back to the mantra or the breath. So we're leaving these thoughts and letting them go. The same process here, but you've got to be conscious enough to be aware of it, right? So, for example, what's an example here? Like you might go, all right, I really want to approach this business to do a marketing strategy with. This goes off. They're going to say no. You know, who you would ask them. Don't worry about it. Just go back and do retouching, right? If you listen to it, that's what you do. But if you don't listen to go, oh, there goes that voice again. Some of my clients actually name it a different name, so it's very much separate. And then you take an action despite the voice. That's the part that's really powerful. It tries to talk you out of hard things. You're doing the morning ritual. You say you're going to do 30 days. Your alarm goes off a little bit earlier. That voice will say, oh, you don't need to get up. You didn't sleep that well. You need a bit of a sleep in. It's too wet. It's too cold, etc., right? Now, the reason I did the cold plunge when I started doing that, which is getting 7 degree water. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. It's nearly close to freezing. Is because I wanted to train myself to block out that voice. Because every time I get in, it goes crazy. You don't have to get in. It's too cold. Don't do it. Right. But I train myself to not listen to it. So it's called don't negotiate with yourself. Remember that. And notice when that voice goes off when you try to do hard things from now on. But we want to go over into shifts here. It's how we think about the world and our place in it and what we can and cannot achieve. So life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. This is a big and powerful one. It's shifting our identity to someone who pushes out of their comfort zone and does hard things. If you stay comfortable, you are not moving. You're actually going backwards in business and in life. We need challenges. We need things that are going to move the needle for us. So when we're aware of that inner critic, it is really important because that's the thing that's going to stop us doing what we want to do. It gets really loud when we go to move into scary things. This is a little graph I made up. If you don't get out of your comfort zone in business, you slowly, it's probably more like down here, actually. I'm probably being generous, but you slowly get results over a period of time. You might 50,000, 60,000, 70, 90, slowly move up. But if you get out of your comfort zone and take courageous action, and I'm going to talk about courage over confidence, you're dramatically jumping. So when I say courage over confidence, it's like you can't be confident in something you haven't done. So if you've never opened a business, it takes courage. The confidence will come. If you've never done a sale before, in-person sale before, you need the courage to do it, and the confidence comes after you've done it multiple times. So examples of some of these big jumps might be, starting a business, hiring your first employee, investing in coaching. That's a big one for a lot of people. Putting yourself out there on social media, approaching other businesses, opening your own studio. All these things are big dramatic jumps that most people don't do because they stop or they let that voice in their head talk them out of it. But courage is just the ability to do things that scare you, and it's a muscle you can build. And you've got to learn to ignore that voice that's telling you. Now, obviously, if you're sitting on the edge of a cliff, that's when you listen to the voice. That's probably right. Don't jump, right? But usually what we're doing is we're sitting in our office, in our studio, thinking about something we want to do and feeling fear around it. It's psychological fear, right? So it's really important to understand the difference. So when are some times in your life that you've overridden that voice and done it? And also write down when are some times you've had that fear and that stopped you. Just give you a couple minutes to just think about those two questions. Yeah, look, Ashton just wrote, quit job after 15 years to open a gallery studio. That's a prime example of getting out of your comfort zone, right? I would say 99% of the time when you do it for the right reasons, it works out and you're glad you did it. All right. Now we want to look at embracing uncertainty. That voice in your head hates uncertainty, but we want to embrace it because it's moving us to where we want to go. If you do the same actions, you'll get the same results. Now, one of the reasons, for example, people don't come into one-on-one coaching is they don't back themselves and they don't get out of their comfort zone. And everyone always, I haven't got the money, I haven't got the time, or they don't trust themselves to actually be able to do it. It's about embracing uncertainty. And part of embracing uncertainty in any aspect is self-trust, just trusting yourself. And when you do that, amazing things happen. All right, coming towards the end here, so stick with me, and we're going to give some journals away soon, but perspective is the last thing in the self here. I want to show you one of the most impactful and simple perspective shifts you can have or do when you're stressed, anxious, or fearful in business or life. All right. And I've got it on my wall. I have it on my wall still here. So life's all about perspective, and changing how you look at things and what you look at will change. This is what they call the 3 patterns of focus, and it's one of the most powerful tools that I've seen to shift perspective in any given situation or stress response. So have a look at it here. Number 1, are you focusing on what is missing in your life? This is when you're stressed or anxious or overwhelmed. Are you focusing on what's missing in your life or what you're grateful for? Back to gratitude, right? Are you focusing on what you're grateful for? And if you are, it's hard to be in that state. Are you focusing on what you can control or what you can't control? This is a big one. And I was talking to Kelly about this with the war going on and everything. 90% of stuff that happens, you have no control over. You don't have control over politics, wars, other people, nearly weather, anything. You just have control over your reaction to things. But when you're focusing on something you can't control, it causes stress, right? That's why you need to get off social media sometimes. It's all bad news. Like, get off. You don't need that. And the last one is really powerful. You focus on the past, present, or future. You can't be stressed when you're so focused in the present moment. Most stress comes from future pacing of what's going to go wrong, or the past of what you should have done or could have done. So take a screenshot, write that down. This is something I have and I still have on my wall to shift how I show up. But when you do the meditation, the morning ritual, gratitude, what would make today great, your mindfulness practices, put some fun, joy, and connection into your life, consistently as a habit, it shifts our focus. It shifts the way we're showing up. And then we can choose where we want to go with certainty. If you can think it and you can imagine it and you can write it down, that's a reality that exists for you. And then you just need to have trust and faith and move towards it. And most importantly, take the actions to move towards it. Don't get stuck in you got to get out of your comfort zone. Like, everything needs to move and get comfortable being uncomfortable. And action cures fear. I'm huge on action. Like, when I coach people, it's all about really simple action steps they can take consistently. I like to tie actions to all my trainings and coachings, because without it, it's just theory. And theory by itself is useless. So implement the morning ritual and the meditation for 30 days. DM me if you want the sheet, and I'll send it to you so you can track it. Write out a stretch goal for the year, and then the steps you want to achieve it. And then lastly, think of 2 or 3 big scary actions that you can take this year. What are 2 or 3 things that will totally freak you out, or freak you out to a point, or get you out of your comfort zone? They're actually going to be really powerful in moving you towards where you want to go in your business, and write them out. You do those 3 things, you're well on your way to be successful and where you want to go, and above most other photographers. Now, I think there's 400 odd people that put their name down for this training. Obviously, some are live, some are going to be watching the replay. I guarantee you less than 5% of you will do those 3 things. Now, I'm not being pessimistic here. I've done a lot of these trainings, and so many people go, that's a great idea. They write it down, they never do it. Don't be that person. Make sure you commit to doing at least one of those things. If you do all 3, amazing. If you're going to do it, write in the comments, I'm going to do it, just for a little bit of self, what's it called? I don't know, gone blank, but just write down if you're going to do it. It'll make a huge difference. All right, we'll give away a journal soon, but obviously that's if you want the DM me here, and I'll send you that that PDF. So, breaking it all down. foundations are so important. Form strong habits, because what we do every day is what matters, not what we do every now and then. And consistency enlarges ability. So look at your energy score, look at your morning ritual, those sort of things. Look at your balance, your work life. Are you switching off? What are you saying no to? And then direction. Set a clear goal and intent to where you're going and write down the steps to get there. Then when we go to self, being aware of our blocks we have, turning down the negative self-talk, disassociating from that invisible enemy, I call it. Looking at shifts in how we see ourselves and what we're capable of. Courage over confidence is a big one, obviously. Then when you're stressed, look at that perspective of getting out of that stress and awareness around it. And then we can take powerful actions to get different results. And it all stems from us and what's going up here and in here. Marketing, sales, and business are so much easier and way more effortless when we really nail these things. I can't emphasize this enough. Marketing's the last thing you need to worry about. You nail this stuff, and then you go to sales, and then you go to marketing, and it all works. Because it's about living an intentional life, not a reactive life, and being comfortable and being uncomfortable to get the actions going, where you want to be. And then I love this quote from Rumi, is live life as if everything's rigged in your favor. And what I mean by that is assume the best. We always assume the worst, right? But if you show up and have that attitude, generally things work out for you a lot more. Like we all know people in our life that are very negative and everything always goes wrong for them. I wonder why. They're expecting it, right? There's other people that are very positive and they just seem to have a great life. It's no coincidence. We'll go to questions in a sec, but here is the QR code if you want to go in the draw to win the coaching call. We'll give 2 away after this. I'll do it later in the week. And then for the replay, how long's the replay up, Kelly? I'll do 2 more in the replay as well. So anyone watching the replay gets a chance.
Replay's up indefinitely. So you might have people knocking on your door a year from now.
All right. We'll give a few away for the replay in the next couple of weeks as well. So I want you to promise to yourself more than me, but if you want accountability, you can DM me 3 things you want to implement from this training. And we'll give away some journals, then we'll go to questions. So, all right. We're going to ask a question, and the first 2 people to answer win the journal. So the question is, what are the 2 things I said not to do for the first hour after waking up? Whoever gets there first gets the journal. First 2 people. There's 2 things I said you can't do in the first hour or put off for an hour. Hopefully someone was listening. All right, here we go. Oh, God, everyone's coming at once. So most of you got it right, but it looks like Shannon, no coffee or phone, and Bill, I'll spelled it wrong, but I get what you're saying. You're very close. All right, looks like those 2. So Shannon and Bill, if you can DM me your address, your postal address, so I can send it, and either black, if you want a black or a green one. So if those who missed out, you can actually get them on Instagram in the link tree if you want one as well. But let's go to questions.
You want to go to some questions? Yeah.
If anyone has any questions.
That was such a good thing that you mentioned, just like going out and what can go right? Like somebody said in the chat. And something I saw on Instagram that was so great was you wake up every day and you're like, this is going to be the best day ever. And you go out in the day and you're looking for things to make it the best day ever, and you will find them. It's everywhere. You see a cute little bird or an adorable dog, and it's the best day ever.
Well, it's fascinating. It's actually science behind this. It's called confirmation bias. Whatever you look for, you find. And a really simple example is we just bought a new car for my wife, and we're looking at these hybrid cars before the petrol prices went crazy everywhere, but we ended up getting a hybrid, but it's called a Cherry. I don't know if anyone's got them over there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They're relatively new here, and I'd sort of heard them. I'd never seen them before. So I went and did a test drive, and then the next week I saw cherries everywhere. Like I'd never even noticed one on the road, but because of my awareness, was there. I was seeing them everywhere. They were always there, but my awareness wasn't there because I think it's like 8 million bits of information hit us every second or every minute, and we only can process 0.001% of it. So we're just disregarding all this stuff that's actually there. We don't see it. But when we focus on what we want and what we want to achieve and those good things, we see more of that, that's a fascinating way to do it. Yeah.
It works. Okay, let's get to some questions. So Skylar, you asked a question, if I don't know, how can I purchase? I don't know what you're talking about. So if you drop it in the chat, we'll figure out what that is. But Skylar's asking, how long per week should they spend on marketing? You mentioned you do it on Fridays. How often are you, well, you're doing it every Friday. For how long, I guess?
Yeah, I say at least 2 hours. And that might seem like a lot. But what you're looking at is sometimes it might be brainstorming. Sometimes it might be catching up with a coffee with another business owner. Sometimes it might be putting a Facebook post up or putting an ad campaign together or planning, like, I don't know if you can see, it's here, fell off the wall. But this is like a yearly calendar, right? I've got all my marketing set out for the whole year already, and I've got all my holidays set out. And I'm pretty big on it, so I know what's happening. And I didn't get to this because it wasn't really a marketing talk, but you want to reverse engineer your goals. So if you want a $300,000 business and you can do 100 shoots, okay, that's a $3,000 average. 100 shoots, how many leads do I need to get 100 shoots? So for example, if 25% conversion, that's 400 leads. So now for the whole year I need 400 leads. How am I going to get them? And then you start breaking it down into ideally you want 4 or 5 different avenues to get leads. So it might be a third-party Facebook promotion. It might be a market stall. It might be, word of mouth. Like, there's all different ways. But then, okay, how can I implement these specifically to get the result I want? And then you know what you need. You just go out and start moving towards that. And it's less about the technique and more about action. Yeah. You're constantly moving and taking action in marketing, you're going to get results. And it's not all going to work. Like, I've done so much marketing over the years in my photography business and my coaching that's totally sucked, right? But I learned from it and go, okay, well, that doesn't work. Let's try this. Skylar, the journal you can do on my website, which is just joeldunn.com, which is down the bottom there. It's on there if you need the link, or DM me if you can't find it. Hopefully that answered Skylar's question.
One question, or one mention about Joel and showing up. He is consistent, like he will reach out, and that's how we got connected. And if I don't reach back out, he'll reach out to me again. And I love that about you, Joel, because you are consistent. You show up. I know that you're reliable. You're going to come to a webinar. And that's how I think you show up in your business and your photography as well. And that's such a good point. It's just about being consistent and having those goals, knowing what you need to follow up on and doing it. Even if, I didn't write back, maybe. You're like,
yeah, but this is the thing.
About it. I love that.
Yeah, and this is what a lot of people get stuck with is they get an inquiry and they'll reach out and not hear anything and go, oh, they're not interested.
Right.
Where they're actually busy, right?
Yeah.
People are busy.
Just busy.
Right. And like email is so hard now because we're getting so many emails. We get bombarded with information. You got to think about it, how sometimes I'll go, shit, I got an email there. Like, you'll wake up at 5 in the morning and go, oh, that email, shit, I totally forgot to get to that email, right? Yep. So it's persistent. Like I emailed a guy yesterday, actually, he reached out after what I did this last year. And I was going through some notes before I was getting prepared and I go, oh, I remembered his name. So I go, hey, how you going? And just sent him an email. And he got back to me this morning, like, thanks for reaching out. It's great to hear from you. And we went through a few things. So consistency, and don't be scared to reach out. Like, we used to call our portrait leads 6 times before we gave up on them.
Oh.
Yeah. Call, text. And then so many people go, thank you for being persistent. Thank you so much for following up. You're not annoying people. Like, if you're cold calling people, I probably wouldn't do that. But if they're asking for your information, follow them up, help them out.
Yeah, you have to catch them at the right time, right? When they have the 5 minutes to sit down and write you back.
Yeah.
Not necessarily ignore you. Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So Skylar's also asking, when you say meditation, what do you mean? Does that mean journaling in a quiet space? As a mom, she's saying it's really, really hard. It's never quiet. I can relate. So how do you find that time?
Yeah, look, most of my clients are mums. 90% of my clients are mums. So it's not about being quiet. Like everyone has this thing about meditation, you have to be total silence. And it's not the case. My meditation teacher said you should be able to meditate on a train in peak hour. Like you're going to have distractions, you're going to have noises. But if you're a mum, you just need to find 10 minutes with the help of a partner or when they're sleeping or whatever works for you, just to get yourself and your time. So meditating is closing your eyes and doing a meditation and focus on your breathing, the app I mentioned, and then the journaling is what you do after with the journal or what I went through with people. That's the second phase. But like ideally you want to get it first thing in the morning. And like when I had little kids, I used to have to get up at like 5 to do it because they wake up early, and then now they're not as early, so I can change it. But sometimes I have mums that are breastfeeding or got little kids, so they won't do it first thing. The first thing that happens is they're tired and they get up and they feed, and then they maybe put down, and maybe at 9 o'clock they have some time for it, or it's whatever works in with you. There's no right or wrong. It's like in your season of life, what's going to work for you.
And it's about prioritizing, right? Because if you have your 10 minutes, you're like, ooh, do I go for the coffee? Which is like what you really want to do, right? You're like, I don't know if I want to sit down right now. It's really intentional.
Yeah. And look, I love coffee myself, right? I'm a big coffee fan, but like I have a tea first thing. It's only 4 in the morning, so I'm not going to have a coffee right now because I'll have that later when I have my breakfast.
Okay. So Amber S is saying she's been in business for 11 years and her burnout is real. Her business is the slowest it's been in years, and it's really hard to stay positive. So how would you suggest that she jumpstart her motivation and drive again?
Yeah, I've been there too. Like I've been burnt out a couple of times in my business, and that's sort of what stalls your business when you're burning out, because you haven't got the energy or the motivation anymore. And it's easy to get into a negative spiral. And especially when you fucking read the news. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't swear. When you read the news or the Instagram or the Facebook and you hear all the doom and gloom, and we can get caught, especially since COVID. So many of my clients get caught in this. No one's got money. The economy's hard. Interest rates are high. Rubbish, right? When we get in that spiral, that's what we get. That's what we see. Our inquiries go down. Our bookings go down because we're in that headspace. We need to let go of that. And one way to do that is a really simple, and it's just say that doesn't apply to me. Whenever you hear a negative story about money, that doesn't apply to me. And you focus on, because if you go to Facebook, people are traveling, people are buying cars, people are spending money. They always do, right? Yes, these things affect some people for sure. But when you break it down, you might only need 50 clients a year, 100 clients a year. There's at least 100, probably 10 to 100 times that amount of people who will use your services in your area when you focus on it. Jump on and book a potential to win a call. But if you don't, I can give you some information as well on actually who was it? What was their name? What was the question? What was their name again? The question.
Sorry, that was Amber S.
Yeah. Well, DM me, Amber, and I do have like a quick training on burnout that I can send you, like specifically on that topic that might help as well.
Somebody is asking, what meditation app are you using?
It's called One Giant Mind. Yeah, can I type in here? Oh. It's a free app. There's lots around. This is the best one, I believe, because it's a Vedic meditation.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's the one I recommend, but there's plenty out there.
Well, that is it for the questions, it looks like. Yes, you can DM him on Instagram, Amber. We are right at 1 hour. I think we manifested that. Perfect timing. Thank you so much. Every time you come on and do a webinar, I am like so much more motivated myself, and put the phone down. Everybody put the phone down tomorrow. Just try. And day by day, I think we can all do it collectively together, because that'll definitely ruin your day if you pick up the wrong app and
Yes.
you don't want to read. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely have Joel back soon, because he's so great. Make sure to fill out his survey. He dropped the link there, but it will also be in the email with the recording. And yeah, make sure to follow him on Instagram and maybe go on his website. I've heard so many great things about the one-on-one calls as well. So thank you, Joel. And I hope you get some sleep later today.
I'll probably have a nana nap later in the day.
Yeah. All right. We'll see everybody very soon.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for showing up.
Bye, guys. It says we have to wait 10 seconds. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and I'll be in touch.